Hello and welcome to the very first ever episode of Dining with the Disappeared. This is a new playlist on our channel and we're going to discuss cases where individuals have vanished. We're going to talk about the circumstances of their disappearances and we're going to talk about the locations from which they disappeared. And as we always do on this channel, we're going to incorporate the element of food into the disappearance and talk about the food that's in the location from where they disappeared. I'm excited about this new playlist because this playlist has a little bit of hope to it. The other playlist that we talk about some pretty tough subjects, and this is one of those tough subjects, but in these cases, there is still hope that some of these people can be found. At the end of each episode, I'm going to give out information, either tip lines or websites, whatever I can find, so that if you know anything about these cases, you can call and maybe help find these people. Together, maybe we can help bring some closure to some of these families. I'm Stacy Lee. Let's begin. These photos are the last images of Rebecca Coriam, a 24-year-old crew member on the Disney cruise ship Disney Wonder. Her disappearance has baffled investigators and tormented her family and loved ones for a decade now. Early on the morning of March 22, 2011, Rebecca Coriam was wandering the crew lounge having a phone conversation during which she appeared to become upset. Shortly after this conversation, she vanishes into thin air and is never seen again. Rebecca was born on March 11, 1987 in Chester, England. She worked at the Chester Zoo and then joined the British Army Cadets in her teens. She attended Plymouth University and then got a job as a sports instructor at Camp America in Maine. She applied for a job with Disney Cruises and was hired. The company then sent her to Florida for job training and she began working on cruises that go to the Bahamas. She returned to England briefly to spend time with her family when her grandfather passed away. That is the last time her family will see Rebecca. Rebecca returned to work and headed to sea on the Disney Wonder, fulfilling her duties as a youth worker, running activities for kids on board the ship. She kept in touch with her family via Facebook and Skype. On March 21, 2011, the Disney Wonder left the port of Los Angeles. Rebecca sent what would be her last Facebook message to her family, saying she would call them the next day. Her mother began to grow concerned when she replied and then waited as that next day passed, with no word from her daughter. As the mother of adult children, I can tell you this is my worst nightmare. Your kids go off on their own, they start their own lives, and all you do some days is sit and worry. I'm sure a lot of you that are watching this can relate to what I'm saying, and if you're a younger person who's out on your own, please just stay in touch with your folks. They worry about you. At 9 a.m. on the morning of the 22nd, just off the coast of Mexico, Rebecca Coriam fails to report for her daily shift on board the cruise ship. Crew members go to look for her. She's not in her room and she's not in the crew area. She does not respond to any pages sent to her, and she does not respond when pages are sent out to the entire ship over the intercom asking for her to respond. The decision is then made to review the CCTV footage from the boat. There, on the tapes, at 5:45 a.m., is Rebecca, pacing and talking on one of the ship's internal phones, looking distressed. A young man walks up to her and appears to ask if she is okay. Her mouth can clearly be seen saying, "Yeah, fine." She then hangs up the phone and walks away while pushing her hair back and putting her hands in her pockets, mannerisms that her parents recognize well. After this, she vanishes into thin air and is never seen again. A search is then undertaken for the missing crew member. A detective from the Royal Bahamas Police Force, Bahamas because that's where the ship was registered, flew into the ship to investigate once it had returned to Los Angeles and begins questioning people. Mike and Anne Maria Coriam, Rebecca's parents, were flown out from England to meet the ship when it returned to port. They met with the Bahamian detective who told them he had only been there a day and was preparing to leave. The Coriams were not happy to hear this, and they further claimed that Disney kept them in a car with blacked out windows and took them onto the ship in a tiny side entrance to keep them out of view. The captain of the Disney Wonder came to meet with the Coriams and expressed his opinion that Rebecca had been washed overboard by a wave while at the crew pool. The Coriams saw that crew pool and claim there are very high walls around it and feel that this theory is unlikely. After that, Rebecca's parents are taken to a meeting with Disney executives and the woman that Rebecca had been on the phone with when she was last seen on CCTV. After thoroughly searching the ship, investigators make the official statement that Rebecca Coriam went overboard, possibly as the result of a rogue wave. The Coriams say they were promised copies of all official reports and documents but never received them. Crew members begin to contact the Coriams in private, telling them that Disney has the tapes of the phone conversation. Disney denies these reports. Crew members also report that Rebecca was in a, quote, very intense romantic relationship and that there were problems in that relationship. This supposed romantic partner is not the person Rebecca was speaking with on the phone call. Rumors have also circulated about a possible love triangle and sexual assault, after which Rebecca was thrown overboard. Rumors are never helpful, but in these situations, it kind of seems like they should have paid a little more attention to the people that were there and that knew the circumstances of Rebecca's life. It seems to me that Disney was really quick to blame this on a wave, washing one of their crew members overboard, which does not make their cruise line look good. So to me, the fact that they were willing to quickly say it was a wave says maybe there was something even worse that they were trying to hide. Friends and coworkers report that Rebecca was constantly cheerful and upbeat, and seeing her upset on the phone call was out of character for her. When Rebecca's cabin was searched, papers were found showing that she had purchased passes for her family to visit Disneyland Paris, and that she was going to surprise them with this news. These plans, along with her continuing Facebook communications, proved to family and friends that suicide is not a possible option for a theory into her disappearance. However, a friend of Rebecca's, identified only as Melissa, states, quote, Bex was a bit of a risk taker, and that she may have sat on the high walls of the crew pool when she was alone, and that this could have resulted in her being washed overboard. A pair of flip-flops was found near the pool and returned to Coriam's parents with the rest of Rebecca's belongings. Her parents do not believe the shoes belong to Rebecca, as the size and style is all wrong. The Coriams have since stated that they don't believe these flip-flops were found during the investigation, but were planted by Disney. The investigation has been criticized as being inadequate and at times outright dishonest. Many critics of the cruise ship industry say that Disney, like all cruise ship companies, is more interested in avoiding adverse publicity than getting to the bottom of the disappearance. Coriam's parents continued to pursue legal action and further investigation into their daughter's disappearance, but no trace of her has ever been found. There are reports that a financial settlement was reached between the family and Disney sometime in 2016. Now, as we always do here on our channel, Dining with Death, we discuss the food that is involved with the case. We feel strongly that two things tie us all together: food and death, and that's what we talk about here. Cruise ships are known for their lavish and large buffets and nightly dinners. Disney cruise ships are no different, except that they have punny names for their eating establishments like Rapunzel's Royal Table, Pinocchio's Pizzeria, Daisy's Delights, and Animator's Palette. Paulo's Brunch offers a large spread of pastries and a la carte items like fish, seafood, and pastas. Remy's has a champagne brunch and offers wine pairings at dinner. The all-you-can-eat buffets have items you'll recognize from the Disney theme parks, like Mickey pancakes, and you can also get room service at almost any time. I have never been on a cruise, and I don't really plan on taking one. I'm a person who likes solitude and peace and quiet on vacation, and I don't really think the regimented schedule of a cruise ship is something that would interest me. But we would love to hear from you if you have comments about the food and your experiences on cruise ships. I do think it looks fun to have all of these buffets and banquets, and kind of the food is just always available. I'd probably come home weighing a lot more than what I weighed when I left. But they do look fun. My kids have been on a Disney cruise when they were really young, and they loved it. I mean, you know, it's Disney. What's not to love? This is the part of the episode where I normally ask that if you have any information on the disappearance, you contact authorities. However, when I went looking for a tip line or a website for Rebecca Coriam, I couldn't find one. After quite a bit of research, I found a Reddit thread that had this website, www.rebecca-coriam.com, but when I click on the link, I get this forbidden message. That makes me wonder that if maybe part of the settlement that Rebecca's family reached with Disney was that they would pull down all of the websites and the tip lines. So if you have information on why I couldn't find anything, please let me know. And more importantly, if you have any information on this disappearance, please reach out. Thank you for joining me today on Dining with the Disappeared. Please stay safe and be kind to each other. Watch out for each other. And I'll see you next time on Dining with Death.